Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to the video. Today we're going to be discussing how you can find your caloric maintenance and your caloric surplus so that you can be eating appropriately, because I've discussed how to eat to gain muscle in previous videos, super in-depth, but today we're going to be breaking down what to do after that, right? How to actually go about finding those numbers and starting to apply that to where you can start to see the results in the gym. But before we get into that, my name is Noah. I'm the founder of Get Her Done Fitness, and I made it my mission to help out all the young men get the body and confidence you've always wanted. And there are currently a few seats available in my one-to-one coaching program where I'm helping young men get the body of their dreams in just 12 weeks. Because I learned a lot in the past 3 years in gaining 40 pounds, right? I went through all the ups and downs, all the trial and error, so that you don't have to, so that I can give you the quickest, simplest, copy paste plan and routine so that you can make the quickest, best, and easiest transformation possible. So if you don't want to miss out on that opportunity, go down below and click that first link to book a call with me, and we will follow up and see if you are a good fit for that program. So like I said, today we're going to be discussing how to find what your caloric maintenance is and your caloric surplus. So if you haven't seen my other videos on diet and how you need to be eating in order to gain muscle, you can find those up here. So make sure that you watch those first so you have a good idea of what you need to be doing and just the whole picture. And this is going to be a very specific video on how to find your caloric surplus, right? How to basically make your diet plan, okay? So I'm going to bring you over to my computer screen now. And as you can see, we are on calculator.net. This is a calorie calculator, okay? So you can use this one, or you can use just any other calorie calculator. They're all basically going to function the same, but it's going to help to give you a rough estimate of your calories for any given goal, in this case to gain weight, to gain muscle, right? So let's put in some information. So we'll put in my information and see what it says for me. We have to keep in mind that this is just an estimate, okay? So this isn't necessarily exactly what I eat and what I do the result's going to give me, but this is just a good estimate to start out with. So we're 18, male, 5'11", 5'11", 6 foot, same thing. Then we are 175 pounds, moderate exercise. So I have a very physical job, about 4 days out of the week, and then I work out the rest of the week. So we'll do extra active, but don't exaggerate on this. Don't say that you're more active than you actually are, because then it's going to give you a skewed result. Like, you got to be honest with this, okay? So if you really are sedentary, or you really are, moderate exercise 4 to 5 times per week, don't lie and give her that information. But if you actually are, you're very active, or very active, extra active, whatever, like, be honest with it, okay? Don't be too generous with yourself on this. You got to be honest. And then we're going to calculate. And so right now it is saying, so this is the results for weight loss, but we're going to click right here for show info for weight gain, okay? So right here, it's going to show how many calories it thinks that we need to be eating to gain a certain amount per week. And then up here is your caloric maintenance. So I would say this is pretty accurate for my caloric maintenance, because I found through trial and error, and using this in the past, that my caloric maintenance is about 3,500 for how much I'm doing right now, right? And then we come down here, and this is going to show our weight gain info. So this is going to show basically our caloric surplus. And so if you look at this is actually what I recommend to most of you, is that 300 to 500 calorie surplus. And if we look at these numbers, it's falling right in line with that. This is about 3,500. And then for moderate weight gain, so 1 pound per week, according to this, is going to be about 4,000. So that's that 500 calorie surplus. And so I would recommend that you get a piece of paper, or go to a document, or just find some way to record this information. So we're going to put that my maintenance, so we're going to put that my maintenance is 3,500, and then my surplus is 4,000, okay? And then from that, so yeah, this is pretty accurate, because right now I'm eating about 4,500 and I'm just barely gaining a little bit, but that's because I really do have a very physical and active job. And so that's appropriate for me. But for most of you, I would recommend sticking with this one. So stick with the 1 pound per week, because 1 pound per week is going to be a pretty good amount of progression. So in other words, you're going to be gaining about 12 pounds in 12 weeks. So, 10-ish pounds in about 3 months is pretty good for a transformation, right? And so we're going to keep that as our surplus. And like I have said many times in other videos, a good rule of thumb for your protein is going to be 1 gram per pound of body weight. So that's going to mean that for me being 175 pounds, let's say 175 grams of protein per day. And so my diet plan to start out with, so what I'm going to start with on week 1. So what I'm going to start out with on week 1 is going to be my 4,000, oh my goodness, I cannot type today. My 4,000 calories and 175 grams of protein, okay? And this is what we're going to start out with, okay? And then this is going to be adjusted as you start to gain, maintain, or lose weight. It depends on what happens, obviously, because if you start to lose weight, obviously you're going to want to increase that number. You're going to want to increase those calories. And then if you start to gain weight and everything is going according to plan, then you can obviously stick with that as long as that progress lasts, right? Because as you gain more, you're going to need more to keep on gaining, in other words, for a lot of you. And same with your protein, right? So as you start to gain weight, you're going to want to go ahead and bump up that calorie intake, or excuse me, that protein intake. So, if you get to 185, you want to stick to at least 185 grams of protein. And so how we're going to see if we're making progress or not and how to adjust this is going to be by tracking your weight. But you do not want to track your weight on a daily basis or even on a weekly basis, because if you track it on a daily basis, it's going to fluctuate, okay? Because if you go to the bathroom, right, if you take a number 2 and then you go weigh yourself, you can weigh yourself before and after that, right, in a 2-minute time span, and you're going to have a 3-pound weight difference or a 1 to 2 pound weight difference. And so that can make a huge difference. And then also in terms of how much you're hydrated, right? So if you're holding more water weight, you're going to be heavier, but you're not actually going to have any more or any less muscle or fat. It's just going to be the same amount of muscle or fat, but you're just going to have more or less water weight. And so the best way to go about this is by doing a weekly average. And so in other words, you're going to weigh yourself every single day, and then from that, you're going to make a weekly average. And so let's say that on week 1, so let's do all the days of the week. So we got Monday. So Monday, I weighed in at 175, okay? Tuesday, I weighed in at 175.2. Then, and let's say that on Thursday, I weigh in at 182. Wait, no, I'm way off. Sorry, guys. 176. And then Friday, we weigh in at 175.4, okay? And then Saturday is something, and then Sunday is something, okay? And so we'll pretend that we have numbers for these. So let's just say 175. But the point is that your weight is going to fluctuate, okay? And so then from this, you're going to devise your weekly average. And in case you don't know how to do an average, it's really simple. It's basically where you're going to add all these numbers up, and then you are going to go and divide it by 7, because there's 7 days in a week. So you're going to find your daily average for the week. And so we added all these up, and that's going to come out to 1226.3. And so then we're going to divide that by 7, because there's 7 days in a week. And that's going to come out to 175.18. So we're going to round that 8, or that 0.08 up to 175.2, basically, is what it comes out to. So for week 1, we hit, so week 1 average is going to be 175 what was it? 0.2. And then from that, we're going to do that every single week in order to find our weekly average and to see how we are progressing. And so then over the weeks, so next week might hit. So then week 2 is going to be something like 176. And then week 3 might be something like 176.8. It's not going to be super consistent. It's not going to be that, exactly 1 pound, because there's so many other factors that go into this, because you got to remember that that's just a rough estimate, that calculator. And so that calculator isn't going to be totally accurate. And then even if you do somehow find a way to be completely accurate in finding that, it's going to fluctuate from day to day, because, on certain days you might do an extra 4 minutes of walking throughout the whole day. So that means you're going to burn an extra 5 calories. And so then you're going to gain a little bit less that week, by however much, like tiny bit. And so there's always that day-to-day fluctuation where you're not literally burning exactly that many calories that is your maintenance in one day, right? It could fluctuate from here to here. So if you're not very active that day, or if you do a lot that day, right? Or if you do just a little bit more, just a little bit less. And so as long as you're seeing this general trend upward, you're going to be on the right track. Okay, but if you're seeing a downward trend, you are definitely going to want to increase those calories, right? If you're seeing the upward trend, then that's great. If you're seeing a very, 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 very slow upward trend, so say that you're gaining less than a half a pound every single week, then I would go ahead and bump up those calories as well, right? Because that's so slow of progress that it's going to take you so long to see like actual noticeable difference. Like I would just bump it up a little bit to increase that speed of progress a little bit, okay? And so this is going to come through a lot of trial and error. But the biggest thing that you guys have to take away from this is that this is just an estimate. Like this calculator, right, is just an estimate. This is just a rough estimate based on the information that you gave it. If you were like a perfect lab sample, right, human, where you're literally doing exactly that amount of activity every single day. But like I said, it's going to vary. And so you need to keep that in mind, and you need to just use this as an estimate and then adjust it accordingly. And this is how you are going to stay in that consistent caloric surplus and make sure that you are seeing that progress. Because otherwise, it's really hard to tell if you're actually gaining or not. Because if you're not tracking your weight, you're not tracking your calories, it's like you're just kind of going based off of how you look or how you feel or how strong you are. And those are good measures on a longer term, right? Because if it's like, well, if you have a picture of how you looked 2 years ago compared to how you look now, you're obviously going to notice if you made progress or not, right? Or if you're like, yeah, back, a year ago, I was benching, 30 pounds less than this. Like, yes, that is a good way to track your progress, but that's like super, super long-term progress, which is still what we're going for. But in terms of you making faster progress in the long run, if you dial it in from this day-to-day and week-to-week basis, it's going to make it so that you can consistently be on the top end of that progress. Because you could not do this and still make progress just fine, but your progress is just going to be that much slower when you could maximize your progress by doing this. Like, be on the top end always. Because if you're not doing this, there's no way of knowing if you gained any that week unless you actually go and weigh yourself, which is exactly what we're doing. And so this is the best way to make as fast of progress as possible and make sure that you are actually gaining and not just going and training and putting in all that hard work for nothing. So I hope you guys found this information useful. If you never want to miss a new video, make sure to go down below, click that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Always remember to get her done.